Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning,
Morning,
everybody.
Mr. Chair.
Welcome, everybody out there. Okay, can we have approval of the county board?
So moved.
minutes? We got a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Wincher, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Not at this time.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion to approve the agenda by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Lemire. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Proclamation Foster Care Month.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Penny and I have brought foster care proclamation this morning to honor the foster parents that we have in Morrison County providing services for vulnerable adults as well as children in the community. So with that, we haven't decided who's reading what. Do you want to start?
Sure.
See, you just decided.
Foster Care Month, Morrison County, May 2017. Whereas the family serving as the primary source of love, identity, self-esteem, and support is the very foundation of our communities, our state, and our country. And whereas in 2016, there were 60 children in Morrison County licensed foster homes, foster care provides a safe, secure, and stable home for children, also providing compassion and nurturance of a family setting. And whereas in 2016, Morrison County Social Services currently has 39 licensed foster families who have opened their homes and their hearts to children whose families are in crisis, and they play a vital role helping children and families heal, reconnect, and launch children into successful adulthood.
Take over. Whereas in 2016, there were over 108 Morrison County adults living in licensed adult foster homes. And whereas Morrison County Social Services currently has 34 licensed foster care providers who have opened their homes to provide a family environment to individuals with developmental disabilities, mental illness, and or who are elderly. And whereas there are numerous individuals, public and private organizations who work to increase public awareness of the needs of children and adults in foster care, as well as enduring and valuable contribution of foster care providers. Now therefore, we, the Morrison County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May as Foster Care Month in Morrison County and urge all citizens to volunteer their talents and energies on behalf of children and adults in foster care, foster parents, and the professional staff working with them during this month and throughout the year.
I would so move on that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Lemire. Any further discussion?
Yes. 60 right now. Is
60.
that kind of normal?
60 right now in Morrison County.
In Morrison
alone.
County.
It's
Is that
up-
kind of
it's-
normal?
It's up for children, yes,
That's
it's an
just
increase. Yep.
Oh, just children, okay. Wow.
It's kind of surprising to me, 39 licensed foster homes, families, and 108 that we had of adults,
Morrison
Well-
County residents who are living in foster homes.
which is amazing. I truly do. I think it's amazing.
You know, I just have to say that with St. Camilla's closing, the response that we got from this community to provide family foster care and corporate foster care was just astounding, that we had more providers stepping up, willing and wanting to provide services than what we needed. Individuals had a full range of choice over who they were going to live with. It was really amazing. Morrison County just does just a phenomenal job. So.
Absolutely.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I'm assuming these, like, the foster care providers have more than one or two possibly, I don't know, they
For children, it depends on their home as to how many they're licensed. They can have one, they may have up to 8, depending on the home and the facility of some of our corporate homes.
well, it's a great thing that you guys do, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Why don't we,
Just a minute, no? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And I know Melanie's gonna out to beg me to take more.
Absolutely.
Sure, we'll do that this time. I think if you stand behind me like that.
Let's move it together here. This one's
Squash in a little bit, we're
I
fine.
just
come up
wonder
with
why
a
you two
different-
bring Brad with you all the time.
We need to
Brad
mix it up.
doesn't need to
We
be.
need to mix it up.
Yeah, we'll do this
I
one
can
like
give
this.
him rabbit
and
ears
then
if
we'll
you
stand-
want.
We could, yeah. Ready? Oh, hold on, I don't know. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very kindly.
Okay, next we'll have proclamation EMS week. I think I had a problem with that word last time.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Start with, I'm Pat Boone, I'm Fire Chief at Camp Ripley, and I chair the Morrison County Public Safety group. And I just want to take a moment and thank you guys for showing up at our EMS banquet the other day and recognizing all the services that the county gets from all of its emergency organizations. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So, as stated, we have an Emergency Medical Services Week, and we'd like the board to do a proclamation for that.
It's Emily from Public Health.
And I will read you
I'm
the
gonna say you have to
proclamation.
introduce yourself.
Emily sent it. A proclamation by the Morrison County Public Safety Group to designate the week of May 21st to the 27th, 2017 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and whereas the emergency medical services team consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, law enforcement officers, public health emergency preparedness coordinators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other medical care providers, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of the emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of Morrison County Commissioners of the great state of Minnesota, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21st to the 27th, 2017, Emergency Medical Services Week in Morrison County. And we call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens and encourage the community to show appreciation.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move on that, Mr.
Okay, we
Chair.
have a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by Commissioner Lemire. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I have further
Yes.
discussion. Class Act, first of all. Our EMS group in Morrison County is a first-class act. Started in the early 80s, as some of us do know, and I do know that. And Morrison County was one of the first counties in Minnesota to actually have first response teams. And today, our first response teams still shine and shine brighter than they ever did before. So to all of our first responders, thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
I have
you.
to agree too, you're the first ones out there, and you just do a wonderful job. So we do appreciate it.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, and Public Health has done a great job, and Emily has led it for a while now, heading up that group, being a resource to make sure that folks are able to meet. I know you did a good job organizing the event the other week, and so thank you for that. I know you work hard for that group, and that group really, it's helpful, I think, from what I understand, to have that resource and to have that staff being able to devote some time to that, so thanks.
Yeah, and we've incorporated, and Emily's a big part of that, the NJPA funding that helps fund a lot of these first responder agencies and governmental agencies, which in turn saves you guys
Yeah.
some money for funding, for some training on organizations within the county, and Emily steers that too.
Yeah.
So she
And it-
does a great job.
It does. It really helps to have that. Internally, everybody else is volunteers and they're doing this on their own time. To be able to dedicate some staff time to that has been a tremendous asset and something that really is benefiting all of Morrison.
If I
County
may
as a
too,
result.
Mr. Chair, I'm assuming you're still looking for volunteers throughout the county too, so how does one, I know, but how does one, if they want to become
They would have to contact their local organization for the community that they reside in, and they would have their criteria on signing up and getting the training, the required training.
And if they don't know who to contact, they can contact Emily, and Emily can put them in
at the end of
contact
the day,
with
can
them.
answer, can steer you in the right direction.
Yep.
I have a question. How many first responders are there in Morrison County? Do you have an idea about?
Oh, boy.
I don't even have a
I
good
don't
number
have a
for
guess.
you.
Because I was kind of disappointed at the ballroom. There wasn't many people there, but,
Yeah,
days
and-
change, whatever.
I
But
kind of stated that at the beginning, and I'll take responsibility for that because we had it set for March, and we
Okay.
were trying to acquire
Yeah.
a doctor from Florida that was triaged to Florida shooting. So we were we adjusted our timeline in
Yeah.
accordance to
Yeah.
try to get him up here to do a presentation, and then last minute he was unable to come, so we already moved the
Yeah.
date. So
Yeah.
I think that played a huge role
Okay.
in the
Okay.
decline
Okay.
of people showing up at that event.
Thank you.
So.
Because there's usually a good group that shows up.
Yeah, last
Whenever you
year-
change dates, there's already people
I know.
committed to things.
Yep.
and So, okay, we thank you very much. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
And
thank you.
Pat and Emily, I'm sure like a photo. Do you want to do the same thing or do you want to
That'll be
stand?
posted up.
Oh, same thing.
Might as well.
It's nice when we switch it.
We're like the
We're like cattle coming into a stand.
cattle in a stand.
Just keep on.
Good of them.
No, I won't put my fingers in my
Yeah, Pat.
Yeah, I'm sure you won't.
1, 2, 3. Emily, thank you for making that photo.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Did a good job, thank you.
That is nice.
I heard it.
We understand.
It was quiet.
She's finally telling the truth.
I was scared.
Okay, let me see. Initiative Foundation Report. Welcome.
Good morning.
It's hard to believe a year has come and gone so quickly since the last time we were here. I did bring one page, if I may, of the
Yes.
extra copies you asked for.
Seems like it was only yesterday.
It seems like it. I don't know if that's good or bad. Just as a reminder, I am Carrie Tripp. I am the Vice President for External Relations at the Foundation, and I brought an expert with me today.
Tammy Filippi, I'm with the Early Childhood Program at the Initiative Foundation.
And
Morning.
I don't see a clock up here, so I am just checking my phone
We're
quickly
watching
to
it.
stay on track.
We're
for
watching
you.
the clock.
Thank you. Then I don't need to. If everyone has their information, we have in about 2 to 3 weeks a full annual report coming out. And so what we thought we would do today is simply give you a very brief overview of some of the key highlights in the last 12 months. And just a reminder, we of course have our mission, which we are looking at building thriving communities and a strong region here. We always do that by growing our economy, building community, and fostering philanthropy in terms of all of the work that we do. The only thing that goes back 30 years on here is our return on investment, and I have an updated return on investment for you that for every local dollar raised in Morrison County, over $3.36 goes back into the county. But could I just say that's just dollars? It does not track the significant time, the value of our time and investment, and some of the other things we do. It's just a cash in, cash out reflection. We talked last time about having 5 strategic priorities, and I thought it might be nice if we gave you a quick snapshot of where we were in those priorities. Certainly with the economy, we have a goal of not only supporting existing for-profit and nonprofit businesses, but also helping new entrepreneurs and the startup of new businesses. Within that, at this time, right now, we have over $500,000 out in loans to the businesses or organizations that are listed below. Since the last time we talked, Stone Source of Minnesota, I believe, came on in the fall of last year in terms of a new business that we are supporting. And the jobs created or maintained, those numbers are the first 23 were the jobs created according to the project plan, and 20 jobs maintained. So I think that's significant because that's certainly what we're trying to do in terms of growing the economy. We also are looking at the nonprofits growing a business, as we've talked about before. And our financial resiliency through social enterprise actually has 4 nonprofit organizations going through it, 2 that are wrapping up and 2 that are going into an advanced phase. And of course, the goal is they will have a for-profit arm that can then help sustain their operations so that they have less pressure to raise funds externally. The other thing I would say quickly about our economic work is we provide a significant amount of technical assistance, and workforce development issues have been predominant, and we've got a staff member who's working constantly on trying to help businesses and communities with some workforce development issues. Finally on that, since we don't live in a bubble in Morrison County, we've got several $millions every year in loans out to the 14 counties, and that's important because there's so much synergy in the economy going across borders. So we're certainly investing here in the county as well as elsewhere to strengthen this region. We have kindergarten readiness programs as a priority, and perhaps you could mention a few things about that.
Excited to be here. This is my first time here, and some of you are familiar faces to me as a Morrison County resident. But we at the Initiative Foundation have had early childhood as a priority for 14 years. And we feel very proud that we have many partnerships that we are working with. We're definitely a part of the solution, we're hoping. For instance, United Way, their Imagination library program, we've supported a number of years through grants. McKick, I see Michelle is back over there. We're involved with McKick and have offered grants for early literacy kits, along with, but I think it was the previous year, provided grant support to offer professional trainings for those who are parent-aware rated in their child care and in their education systems, which is our quality rating system in Minnesota, which has a lot of research based that quality early care and education is really going to uplift our children to be, again, going into that workforce and to be participating citizens. We also have provided grants to Mid-State Education District and most recently to the Licensed Child Care Association here in Morrison County to support literacy kits. And what that is it's a kit that will be designed to increase parent engagement and literacy and have different fun activities that they can do with their children. We also are part of a larger kind of statewide network with colleagues, and so we're kind of always hopefully having our pulse on what's happening statewide with early childhood too. I'm sure you're aware that early childhood has really been receiving a lot of news press and the importance of that brain development, 90% brain development by the age of 5. So we really know that that investment in early childhood is really important. I have a monthly e-newsletter that I provide to whoever's interested, so anyone can sign up, it's free. And then I try to do what's like cutting edge research and opportunities and trainings that are available in the early childhood field. And just real quickly, I'm hoping most of you are familiar with our IQ magazine. 2, I think, magazines removed, we did a feature article on kindergarten readiness, and I just wanted to point this out because this is a teacher from Pierce. in the peers school readiness, and all the pictures of the children are peers' children. And so we are very proud, again, to be a partner with many different entities in Morrison County in early childhood.
Excellent, thank you. We do support schools in a couple of other ways, and we've worked with a new partnership with NJPA to bring in over $100,000 in matching grants so that every school district within the 5-county region can apply for a matching grant, so they can take their $5,000 donation and get it to $10,000, and then distribute it to the teachers for innovative projects within the school. Very excited about that. All the school districts are eligible because we were able to secure those funds again this year. And we have over $23,000 in scholarships that we've given out over this past 12 months as well. In terms of improving the economic status of financially disadvantaged people, we certainly support a number of nonprofit grants that do help with immediate and basic needs, as well as some advanced needs to support families. We also find that's another way to help working families who are trying to make it paycheck to paycheck, but need a little bit of assistance. And so that becomes, in part, some of the ways that we do some workforce development. I will also say that while we don't have a VISTA in Morrison County right now, we will this fall. We've got 3 or 4 nonprofits who are applying, and so we expect to get several vistas into the county area by October.
What is it? Excuse me.
Volunteer and Service to America. So they are basically coming in to help nonprofits build capacity of specific programs to serve. Yes, so it's actually very exciting. It's a wonderful advantage to bring into an area. And then finally, we have a commitment to cultivate the next generation of leaders. Again, as we've talked about before, we are building that into everything that we do that is appropriate. And I want to highlight the Morrison County advisor, or the fund, the area fund, because I think everyone but one is under the age of 40, and their leadership skills are continually growing through the training that we provide on that fund. We just supported a high school intern. Amazing experience for him. He actually wanted to come, and he had to present to his local superintendent this morning instead, so he was sad not to be here. But again, looking for all the ways that we can support leadership. And our new TCI program, Thriving Communities Program, has a new element where we focus specifically on getting those under 40 in a community active and engaged in the future of that community. So with that, I'm probably at my 12 minutes or so, maybe over. You didn't gong, but we are here for questions if you have any.
Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the great job.
You're very
you
welcome.
did.
Quick comment, the 1,500 children impacted, it really, I think we all should step back and say that's huge.
Yes, it
That
is.
we are impacting 1,500 kids. And I'm assuming that that's on an annual basis? I don't know.
Yes, and that's probably even a lower estimate, and the majority of that would be through the Imagination Library, which is a very evidence-based
Right.
program
You
that
bet.
we know that getting more books into those children's hands and that parent reading, that engagement, that's, I mean, I could go on and on, but it is very, yeah, thank you for that comment.
Yes.
And thank you.
All of the numbers on here are from the past year, with the exception of the return on investment, which we just continually record over 30 years.
Thank you very kindly.
Anything
you very
else?
much.
Thank you.
See ya.
I feel a little bad we're not getting a picture, but we'll
We can get, would you like to take a photograph?
come over.
Okay, next, Region 5 report.
Now we gotta ask her, would you want your picture taken? Would you like your picture taken?
It's a
right off the
morning
bat?
with, it's a morning for updates, right?
Yes.
Thanks for letting me come visit with you. Yes. We might do a picture. We might think about that. Yeah, it'll be, I always
it's
have
done.
these annual reports to do, so we might dig into that.
Would you please introduce yourself? just
I
for
will,
the-
absolutely. Cheryl Hills, Executive Director of Region 5 Development Commission and our 501c3 arm, the North Central Economic Development Association.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for
morning.
letting me come visit with you guys. Appreciate it. It's been several years since I've actually got to sit in front of you. Usually it's team members, which is great that they come and get a chance to connect as well. So I wanted to give you a quick update of what's happening at Region 5. Most of you know that Region 5 is a unit of government, like a county, city, and township in Minnesota state statute. As such, we're a 40-year-old organization. We have a levying authority. We do not set that levy. The state does. It's only about a third of our budget or less every year. And of course, our mission is to serve the people of these 5 counties: Crow Wing, Cass, Morrison, Todd, and Wadena. So we have a 5-year report. I'm just going to give you, let you glance at this one and send it around. It's online. You can get this on our website anytime. Make sure press gets that when we're done. Yeah. So that I wanted to share with you. It was an active year this last year. We also finished our 5-year strategic plan for the commission, and
We have it online.
Yep, you absolutely do. And then we also completed a 5-year report for the EDA, Department of Commerce, called the Comprehensive Regional Economic Development Strategy for our 5 counties. And so you have some handouts. First of all, I want to make sure that you guys get a chance to see those in case my auctioneer speed doesn't actually absorb, then you can certainly look through some of those handouts later. Yeah, I have a tendency, I try to slow it down. But, so you have some handouts there that kind of share some of that information. I want to thank Commissioner Johnson for serving on the commission for how many years, Dwayne? Many, many years now.
Well, I was on, before I became a commissioner, I was on 13, and now I think I'm starting about my 5th again.
Yeah, so it's been great.
Since Tom Wenzel left.
Yeah, Commissioner Winslow. So thanks for that service.
Yeah.
We appreciate you
You're
guys
welcome.
sending him to us. He's asked lots of good questions, keeps us on our toes. So Region 5 also has a 501c3 arm of the commission that was created 25 years ago as a result of some dollars that were coming to us from the federal government in the area of lending. That economic development arm is specific with industry folks. And so that's a 15-member private sector board with the commissioners like Commissioner Johnson and others from cities, counties, and school districts, et cetera. So it's one of those unique opportunities where policy is being directed by public and private partners, and which is, we give it a lot of lip service in the field of private-public partnerships. This is one that actually really works, and so that's wonderful. The work that group has set forward for us to do that I'm going to quickly update you guys on are in 3 main buckets: economic development, community development, and transportation. So like the Initiative Foundation, we do lending, and we have a lending program for gap loans. And we also are a primary lender through our microloans. We're the only micro lender in the 10-county area, actually us and East Central Regional Development Commission, where we do microloans, and we do well water loans and septic system loans as well. So currently, to date, Morrison County, we have 132 active loans in your county alone. We have almost $3 million dispersed right now. Over a period of the years that we've done lending in this county, we've dispersed over $10.5 million. And so there's some significant activity, and I will big hats off to Carol Anderson. I consider her the godmother of economic development. She's wicked smart, and we've partnered with her for many years and appreciate that partnership. So that's been part of our lending arm. I wanted you guys to know we're also engaged in this space of what's called crowdfunding. So last year we received some dollars from USDA to educate the region on what is crowdfunding. And basically that is an opportunity for unaccredited investors. I don't make over $250,000. I'm an unaccredited investor. And if I wanted to invest in a local company, there was some legislation that would have prohibited that previously. Now this new legislation allows us to do that. It's called Minvest. And so we created a portal where people can understand what this crowdfunding is, so that as a consumer, your constituents don't get their life savings taken away, and as a business, you understand the opportunities that are out there. The reason I share that with you is because next year, a space that we'll be likely engaged in is around social crowdfunding. And social crowdfunding is more so if you had a microbrewery or some other business that wanted to start and they wanted donations to give to them versus an investment in the company that you expect to be repaid for is typical securities crowdfunding. This social crowdfunding allows for donations. So maybe Maybe you invest in that brewery and you get a beer a month for the rest of your life as, as a token. So that's a space that we're engaging in as a way to get more small companies to learn more about crowdfunding and sort of, I call it probably politically incorrect, but the entry drug into investing is social crowdfunding. So we're working in that space. We're also we're awarded some dollars from the Department of Employment and Economic Development to work in emerging populations, and we focused, as did the Initiative Foundation, received some of those same dollars. They focus more on the St. Cloud area, and some of the populations there we're focusing more on artists and growers within the region, so agriculture and creative enterprises, we call them, through those dollars. And we've delivered a boatload of hours of technical assistance, and unlike a lot of folks, we deliver one-on-one technical assistance with businesses, so there's a lot of high touch with those folks. And then recently we just, because we do this regional plan, a lot of times folks will ask me, well, why do you do all these plans and they sit on a shelf and what does it matter? In the eyes of Region 5, our commissioners have said these plans are to be used to garner dollars that we otherwise wouldn't be able to for projects, and an example of that is when we do this regional economic development plan, we also go after dollars, and we just received a $2.5 million grant for the city of Long Prairie to update their wastewater treatment facility. So those are some types of things we're doing. In the space of community development, guys, there's just a lot going on. We have, of course, been awarded from Art Place that $440,000 grant that you've heard about for Sprout, the marketplace, the growers and makers marketplace here in Little Falls. That's a way to engage artists and bring in different cultures, lift up those cultures of our region, Latino, Amish, tribal, and German, and Scandinavian, and Polish, and all of us. So that work has been really fun. Lots of folks there at the last marketplace, because it's been a slow uptake of a new program in the region, and I was surprised that 2 of our vendors actually sold out completely. I mean, they had no more wares to sell, and that was phenomenal, and hundreds of people there. It was really great to see. So that's been fun. Also receiving some dollars from USDA to help nonprofits as some pass-through funding in the region. Some of you have heard about, it's been in your wonderful press about the Solar Schools project that we've been working on, the solar energy project. It's not a dead project. It is very much alive. The timing has been changed, our timeline, as a result of our manufacturer that we cited in the grant application went belly up, basically, and went out of business. And that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because we had cited that company 5 years ago when we wrote that application, and they were not a Tier 1 company. They were a Minnesota-made product, but not the best of the best of the best. And so this allowed us to not have to abide by that Minnesota-made product, and we're looking now at Tier 1 products, and the project will likely commence in 2018. So there's some really good negotiating going on with the school district attorneys and the attorneys of the project, so we're really happy about that, and we think everyone seems to be amicable to those changes to make sure the schools are helped as much as possible. So that project will continue. It is not a labor of love. It's just a whole lot of labor at this point, because it's a lot of attorney talk, but bless them for being there. So it's been a fun project, and we're learning more. Broadband is still continuing. We've been successful every year at writing grants with folks like CTC, Consolidated Telephone, and with West Central Telephone, secured state funding, so we've helped with those grants, and secured money through another partner we all know but well and love, and National Joint Powers Alliance, runs about $100,000 a year to Region 5. We disperse to engineers to get these applications ready for the competitive process at the state level. You don't just apply and get lucky. You have to have a lot of work up front. So we work on that side of it. We're still continuing to administer or facilitate lots of coordination of groups like the county administrators. I'm happy that Deb attends those meetings. I always learn. Love that she does that job. Not what I think I would ever do. But it is an amazing group of people that are learning from each other. And I appreciate the work, how they've taught me and mentored me through these years as well. We also meet with the EDO pros, and then lastly, I'll mention that we still coordinate all the transportation work. Most of you know, money starts at the federal level, comes down to the state, and then it goes to the regional levels, and we're that entity that works with MnDOT to disperse the money with your engineers and what's called the Transportation Advisory Council and MnDOT. So we've distributed millions and millions of dollars through that process with the help of the county engineers guiding the way. We did 11 Safe Routes for Schools plans last year. 11 is a lot, so we're excited that that work is underdone. And then lastly, we facilitated what's called a Human Transit Coordination Plan with MnDOT. So a lot of work in the space of transportation. Those are the high points. You can see more on those reports. The very, very last thing I'll mention is this last year, new to us, we were commissioned by NJPA to help write their grants for their innovation funding program. And so they were, local units of government don't always have the resources like some counties do to have staff write applications, particularly small towns. And so we were assisting writing those grants for that program. That was a new work. And then I'm facilitating a grant contract right now with a large foundation in Minnesota to do more lending around energy lending. So it will be for residential homeowners who might want to put solar on their homes. This will be a lending access to capital that we don't currently have. So I'm facilitating that work as well. But lots going on. I think I'll end it there. There's more projects and many more opportunities in front of us as we continue to build relationships. And I'm thankful that we're continuing to do that. That's a priority of the commission and the staff, that we maintain those, not just state, but national relationships as well that help us bring dollars here to help our communities. Mr. Chair, that ends my report unless there are questions.
Comment. Thank you for all your energy,
Yeah,
for everything you got going on.
there's a lot.
Cheryl
There's a
does
lot.
good
And a
job.
great team, and I appreciate that, Commissioner Johnson. The reality is that I get to be the front person, but you all know that it takes amazing staff to run that ball. And I've had linebackers for commissioners that have been there for us for many years, and we all recognize that's where the strength comes of our organization. So thanks for that comment.
You know, Mr. Chair, we don't always get to see what really happens, but I've taken the opportunity and made myself take the opportunity
Yeah.
to visit Sprout
Yeah.
on more than one occasion to see what really has been done. And every time that I go, and I'm pretty regular,
Yeah.
it impresses me more and more and more each time, because each time you can see what is being built there.
Yeah.
It's truly amazing as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks for your time on that, Commissioner Jelinski. I appreciate it. And this next fall, I really encourage you guys to come, because literally we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into making the place even more beautiful and bringing in more artists. And we have a cooking class this week. 40 people signed up. I'm going to learn how to make tortillas. And and we have education classes. 50-plus folks are showing up to the education classes, businesses. That's really cool. So really good stuff. But thanks for coming. It's really great.
Mr. Chair, Cheryl knows everything. Whenever I have a question about something that I've never heard of, I give Cheryl a
That's
call, because
right.
chances are she has the answer for me, so thank you.
With breath, not a lot of depth, but there's
Oh, no.
good breath.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
See
Thank
you.
you.
See you Thursday night.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Sheriff's report. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Sheriff.
Members of the board.
I'm getting there. Cheryl has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't go through it.
all sent to you guys. Sorry about that.
I'll make mine quick. Are there any questions?
Are we ready for the weekend?
Oh, we got your
Yes.
first photo right up here with the pharmacy at Colby.
Yeah, there we go. Why don't I just explain that while that's coming up? So that was our national drug take-back. Basically, the DEA pushed out to every law enforcement agency within the state to do a national take-back event. So Colburn's hosted the event. And then, of course, we had partners from CHI, St. Gabriel's, Stand Up For You Youth Coalition, Charlie Strock, Little Falls Police Department, and myself from the Morrison County Sheriff's Office. We're all there. So I think we took between 50 and 60 pounds of medications that day. And it was just I don't remember, I think it was like a 4-hour event. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
It's a constant in and out.
Yeah,
We just-
Commissioner Johnsky was there selling Tootsie Rolls, I believe,
Yes.
that day. So anyway, it was busy and it was good because, of course, the message to everybody, and that was part of the take-back efforts, was to educate people as well, as to let them know that we encourage people to lock up their medications and get rid of their unused and expired medications. And that event was on April 29th. The next picture is the Piers mock car crash that we assisted on. I wasn't there, but we had Deputy Rushlow and Sergeant Joel Groves. And I hope I'm not missing anybody. But anyway, we assisted with the Piers mock car crash. The mock car crashes are good because it's really painting a picture of a real life scenario that we have to deal with. And of course, the youth get to see from A to Z what we do, how we investigate it, what are the consequences of someone's, the driver's distracted and or drinking. So we go through the field sobriety, and all these kids get to witness that. And I think the county attorney's office and Commissioner Jelinski partake in that as well. So,
Mr. Chair, if I can, Sean, I heard a lot of compliments just being from the Piers area about that event. There was an accident prom night out in Piers with a couple of kids, and that impact that they related back to that, and the reaction that those kids had in that very serious moment, whether it was that reason or not, but I think it helped prepare them, or at least I know a lot of people involved kind of said, geez, we just went through this and it was so real, and that impact throughout the community was pretty great. So thank you for doing that.
I'll push that to our staff.
Yes.
So going over the number of complaints, what I did before I actually came up is I tried to grab April statistics from 2014 from my predecessor. I don't have anything in April, but I saw that there was statistics back in March of 2014. So I might highlight a couple of those numbers, even though it's not apples to apples, just to kind of let you know how busy we are and kind of where the numbers align. So going for the number of total complaints in April of this year, 2017, we had 886. Again, it's not apples to apples, but March of 2014, we're sitting at 557 total number of complaints. So I thought that's good to highlight, just looking at those numbers, how busy we actually are, just in a matter of a couple of years. So some of that's self-generated stuff that, deputies making traffic stops, but a lot of it's just our call volume, people calling in for whatever reason, and it's getting documented and reported. Our criminal complaints was 86 with 68 cases cleared, so we have a 79% clearance rate. Our non-criminal complaints was 800. And I looked up the non-criminal complaints of March of 2014, it was 496. So you can see the almost doubling. Civil process, we had 84 papers that we received. Our drug investigations, we had 2 controlled buys, 2 controlled substance investigations. We did 2 search warrants for the month of April. We did 4 controlled substance agency assists. Again, that's any time we're either assisting Little Falls Police Department and or anybody within our Central Minnesota Violent Offender Task Force. That's considered an assist. 2 possession of marijuana and 1 controlled substance of heroin, 1 sale. So that's where we are with drug activity. And looking back in 2014, the numbers are very comparable with the drug activity.
Mr. Chair, Sheriff, this doesn't sound like a lot when you say 2, but it takes a long time to create those 2 in the business that you're in. There's
Correct.
probably, we both know that there's many more buys that are taking place out there.
Correct.
Not necessarily law enforcement related, but there's much more activity. But in order to play the game of law enforcement, it takes so much time to do it. So when you say 2, and 2 is a pretty small number.
Yep.
But 2 can actually be a pretty big number in the big picture of what you're doing.
Correct, Commissioner. So what happens is, let's say that we get 6 complaints today of drug activity, maybe we get some intel. We have to establish a case, and what we need to do is, before we actually generate incident crime report where these numbers come into effect, we actually, we have to establish a case, we have to do a transaction, whether it's an informant purchasing drugs, or we do a search warrant, then the numbers actually come into effect. So there's a lot of groundwork that's being laid before we actually, before the numbers actually come into play.
Exactly.
For our training, I'll just highlight, we had 29 officers attend use of force and taser refresher. Of course, that's an annual mandate through the Minnesota Post Board, so every year there's certain things that we have to train on, and use of force is one of them. And that's why you see the high number of 29 officers attending use of force. Any questions on that? You'll see, just another thing I'll highlight, Deputy McDonald, who's on our drug task force, spoke to the BOLA's first response team regarding identifying drugs and signs of drug use. Our big push is, we talked about this several times, is we're trying to do more education out in the public with drugs. And we're actually going out to the first response teams now too, since these people come across a lot of that. So we want them to know what to look for as well. So hitting schools, members of the community, our seniors, our youth, and now first response teams as well. For criminal complaints, I'll just kind of highlight some of the bigger numbers here. So the lower left quadrant, you're going to see a shade of light blue, or 10%. That's our property damage. We had 9 complaints of property damage. Going to the lower left quadrant, the purple, I want to say that's our theft, and we had 17 thefts in the month of April that were called into our agency. 5 of those were gas drive-offs, and then the rest is just a breakdown of whether something's stolen from a building or a yard or a person and or a business. So those were kind of the highlights of our criminal complaints. If you go to the next page, it's our traffic citations. So the upper right quadrant, 18%, that was 26 speed citations were issued for the month of April. Our verbal warnings, you can see that they're fairly large again. That's our 60%. We issued 86 verbal warnings. And our written warnings was 25%, which is the 17% upper left quadrant. Any questions on that? Moving on. So before I go any further, I'll just let you know that we've been kind of working with Itasca County. They have an overflow of inmates right now. And it seems like it varies month from month and county to county who actually has a large amount of inmates. And Itasca has been really an overflow, so we've been taking in a lot of their inmates, and you can see that's why the numbers are higher than any other county. Normally what happens is the inmates will go to court and they're sentenced. And once they're sentenced, then our agency will take those out-of-county inmates. And the reason for that is because once they're sentenced, they can really stay here until their out date. You know, if there's court pending, then that agency has to pick them up, bring them back to court, and then bring them back to our facility. But there are some inmates from Itasca that, just because of the overflow, they're reaching out to other counties, including ours, and there's some pretrial inmates here too, meaning that there's court dates that they have to attend to, and they're just transporting them back and forth. So it's a win-win situation for us because we're getting paid the same. It's just more of a hassle on their end, I guess.
If I may, Mr. Chair, Sean, when you say when they finish their time or whatever, they don't just let them out here in Morrison County. I'm assuming Itasca will come here and pick them up.
Correct.
And then take them back.
So Commissioner Winter, what we do is we got a standard rule of thumb throughout the entire state of Minnesota that everyone knows that if they're going to bring their inmates here, we'll take them. But the rule of thumb is that they need to pick them up on their out date and bring them back to that established county, and or have someone else pick them up, because we don't want to kick them out of our door to our county. So that's the rule of thumb there.
So law enforcement doesn't necessarily come to pick them up. It could be a friend, a family, or whomever, but law enforcement makes that arrangement. Is that correct?
Correct. I'd say 99% of the time, it's going to be the law enforcement agency, but there's always that circumstance where we'll look at it just to make sure it makes sense before we release them to someone else. But the bottom line is they don't get kicked out the door just walking the streets. So for total inmates, I look back, again, this is March of 2014, and our report indicated that there was 42 Morrison County inmates. So you can see, 2 years later, or 3 years later, I guess, we're averaging 43, so it's pretty close. So our own inmate count is close. Our out-of-county inmates, that was, I want to say it was .35, so just under 1. And then today's average for out-of-county inmates is 25, so that's changed quite a bit. Our out-of-county inmates, again, was 25, and our revenue collected was $24,320. 2014 revenue collected was $550. If we go to our 2-year comparison, you'll see April of 2016 and April of 2017, our number of complaints, total number of complaints have went up. Our criminal complaints have gone down, actually, from last year, just a little bit. Our non-criminal complaints have gone up from 686 to 800. Civil process has gone up. Our drug investigations almost have doubled. And our total number of inmates have gone up a little bit. I can tell you our drug investigations, we're staying busy, obviously. And you're going to see more numbers now just because I think earlier in April, we put out a press release advising that, regarding the Brisk case, we found a couple of items on the property where the homicide occurred that we believe has significant impact to the case. So now it's really kind of waiting on the BCA end to see what we get back for DNA before we proceed. That being said, there's still a lot of things going on with this case, and every day there's things going on, but it's given us a little bit more time to focus on other things as well, so.
Mr. Chair, I have to take a quick moment, and I hope this works. So I'm grateful to Sean and his staff that allow time to help. In the spring, we do third grade tours. I kind of talked a little bit about that, but we've had a number of them from Little Falls the other week, and this Thursday we're coming up with one from Piers, and I just wanted to show you. And it's so cool when technology works. Oh, is it working? Oh, funny. Okay. But these are thank you notes that we got. One class did a thank you. They all did them digitally. So these are these third graders that produce this as a result of technology that they're learning about. And so it kind of goes through what we did, and we had a courtroom experience. Judge Anderson that day happened to be in. I never know what's going on in court, so I take them up there, and either they hear the spiel from me, but if we're lucky, a judge comes in and talks to them a little bit about what happens. They go through the metal detector and think that's super cool. And 911 dispatch center is great, and the staff there take the time to show them what's happening, talk about what calling 911 means and when you do and when you don't and all of that. And we go to the office area of the jail and we talk about what occurs there. I always lecture on making good choices and about and kids making good choices and how people aren't necessarily bad, but they make bad choices. Because it's amazing when we do this, the impact of that system on these kids, whether it be folks that they may know or whatever. Sometimes it's actually astonishing to me how impactful that is to those kids. And so we, Chief Deputy Worley helps with that and saving our lives. And again, that making good choices is something we hit home. But I just appreciate Sean and his staff and willingness to help out with those, because it really is kind of fun. It takes a little time, but I think it's time worth it. And they are interested in the boardroom and the county board. It's hard to compete with the shiny badges, but it is something we talk about. We talk about governance a little bit. We talk about taxes, and planning and zoning is one where I get them thinking about people in their own property and why it doesn't make sense to have 1,000 cattle farm in the middle of downtown Little Falls, and they kind of think through some of that. And so whether they remember it long term or it's just a short term little impact, it is something that's fun, and I appreciate the help with that from the sheriff's office. So
I just hope the board doesn't hold me to the same presentation standards. That's kind of hard to beat.
You're not comparing them, I've got to tell you that.
That's really all I have, unless there's any questions for me.
Very good, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. Just got a meeting 10:30 to 11:30, and then I'll be back 1 o'clock.
And Ms. Gruber, thank you very kindly for what you do with those third graders.
Oh, yes,
That's very
it's
neat.
absolutely a joy. So
Social service, Brad.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
Morning, Brad.
I have before you this morning a board approval of a new contract with a provider out of Brainerd, Core Psychological Services, for parental capacity assessments. We currently budget for these assessments within our budget. We are doing some transition planning because it's expected that another provider who is doing these is retiring. And this is a significant assessment that we do in the child protection system when families have been involved for a while to help us better assess their strengths, weaknesses, and usually helps us make a determination how far to take this family in court. So it's important for the county attorney's office to have access to these assessments. And it's an assessment done with the parents and the kids together. So we are looking to spend up to $15,000 with core psychological services for these assessments. And I have ran this contract through the county attorney's office, so I'm looking for approval for this new provider.
Could I get a motion?
Also move, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by Commissioner Lemire.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wincher. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
That's all I have this morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Way to go.
Public health report. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Passing the work to them, so. The first thing, Katie Kirschner, Public Health.
Michelle Taujas, Public Health. Cindy Nienaber, Public Health.
The first thing we have is to appoint, we had a vacancy for our Public Health Advisory Committee in District 4, which is Mike Wilson's district. And Mike found a good candidate for that position, Nicole Gross. She's the Piers nurse for the school. So asking to appoint Nicole to the Public Health Advisory Committee.
I would so move on that, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Lemire. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Forgot to write you on the TZD, but. The second thing we have for you is the Towards Zero Death Grant, and I'll let Michelle talk about that a little bit.
So this grant we currently have until September, and it's an annual grant, a one-year grant, and we've had it off and on since 2010. So we're just looking for approval to reapply, and that is due on June 2nd. I think we have to have the RFP in, so we're just looking for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wincher, seconded by Commissioner Jelinski. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, Michelle, you said that, do we get this every year? Has there been a couple of years where we haven't?
Yes, we've had
gotten it?
a gap year. 1 year we did not receive the funding.
Just because?
Yep, just
Okay.
competitive.
Okay, very good. So,
The other thing to mention with this is that if we do apply, the sheriff's office also has to apply, so we both have to receive the grant in order to get the grant.
So yeah, we're the education component and then the enforcement.
very good, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And the next item we have is our Women, Infant, Children Supplemental Food Program. Every 2 years, we have an evaluation by the state, the Minnesota Department of Health. They were here last week, and Cindy will talk a little bit about how that went.
Well, they were here for a day and a half with 2 people. They very, very closely observed our staff, both interacting with clients and even sitting in the lobby and looking at our privacy issues that we've talked about. They're excited to see our building plan and how we've laid that out. They even made a couple of suggestions regarding privacy. We're happy to report that the overall findings of this particular evaluation were no findings, no corrections needed. They also look at how we manage the grant dollars from the state, and they look at not just Morrison County, but our interaction with the Community Health Board. So the WIC programs in Todd and Wadena are also evaluated, and we've had conversation about those programs. They look at outreach, numbers, they look at all of the documentation. So it was a very thorough evaluation, and our staff did very well in the findings of no issues.
We have a very seasoned staff in this area, both our staff in this area. And our coordinator actually, or our staff person, just became the coordinator for Morrison, Todd, and Wadena County WIC programs. And she is making great improvements for efficiency for all 3 counties, you know, ordering supplies together when it makes sense. And taking, providing backup when needed so that we don't have to train a bunch of staff just here in Morrison. We can utilize the staff across the community health board. So we're not surprised that they didn't find anything to correct because we know they do such a good job.
Good. Thank you.
And we have a request, so we have a vacancy in our environmental health program. We had a position that was half environmental health sanitarian and half community health educator. It was paid on 2 different grades, grade 27 for the environmental health and then a grade 26 for the community health educator. After discussion with Deb and the management team, we feel that it would be beneficial to hire this position as a full-time sanitarian, understanding that they would still be doing grant work. So they would be doing the same work, it would just be paid all at one grade, and we would be hiring them as a sanitarian. We feel it'd be easier to hire one full-time position at the same grade and to retain a staff in that position.
Mr. Chair, it actually is kind of confusing considering the pay rates are really quite similar. And the accounting with it is a little bit unnecessary and not adding enough value to make it necessary, if you know what I mean. And the grants pay at whatever rate that person is receiving, and so it's one of those things where it seems to make sense in this case just to make that adjustment, so it's less confusing when looking to recruit some people.
Mr. Chair, Katie, does this have anything to do with liquor being put on public health's plate?
That's
anything at all?
That's one of the things that we considered when discussing whether it would be a good idea just to hire full-time sanitarian. And to, one of the things that we have seen the commissioners find value in is putting that prevention stuff like responsible beverage server training and some of those alcohol licensing things, embedding them within our environmental health program. And so we did consider the extra duties of the alcohol licensing in when we thought about how we wanted to have this position come forward.
And looking at having those sanitarians trained with the responsible beverage server training and putting on those trainings.
I'll move on this, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Lemire. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last thing that we have for you are 2 licenses. The first one is a temporary 1 to 4 day liquor license, and that's for the Lincoln Scandinavia Valley Lions Club. They're holding an event in August for 2 days. And then the other one is an on-sale liquor license. It's a 1 day license for Randall Cushing Area Lions Club to hold an event in July.
So move.
Got a motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Winchard. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Mr. Chair, we are running ahead of schedule. I think
From extensions.
Brad put us off by being so brief.
He did at that.
It's very, very odd. I have an email into extension, and I can track down the auditor treasurer, but if you want to take a quick break here, maybe for 10 minutes.
Perfect.
We don't have a lot left, but that would be nice.
Extension report.
Morning, Commissioners. Nice to see you all. On another rainy day. Got a little sun yesterday, so I know a lot of the farmers are hoping we can get a little more sun. From what I've heard, sounds like most of the corn is in though, but some more work still needs to be done. So people are hoping we can dry out a little bit, and it looks like we will, so that's good. It's been a really busy time, so I just want to mention last week was Becky Moe, 4-H program coordinator, did her Morrison County Youth Safety Day on the fairgrounds. Myself, Beth Berlin, and Dan Martins all teach at that. So I had the opportunity to once again teach livestock. I think it was my 4th year teaching. So that was really exciting. It's something I really enjoy doing since I don't get to work with youth quite as often. I normally teach adults, so it's fun to teach kids for a day and to teach them a little bit more about safety, something that you all know is very important to me. So it's an honor for me to be a part of that day, and Becky does a really nice job putting it on. And more that's going on with the busy spring. Dan Martins has once again been doing his alfalfa scissor cuts, and those are part of a alfalfa harvest alert project that he does. And so he's taking samples twice a week from farms all around the area, and then there are some other cooperators in other parts of the state involved in extension that are a part of that as well. And so he sends reports almost every day on it, sometimes at 10 o'clock at night. So I know he's working hard on that. And other exciting things going on. So starting tomorrow, we are going to be having an intern working with us for the summer. Her name is Haley Lighting. She's from a dairy farm in Fillmore County, so southeast Minnesota. And she is going to be working with myself, Beth, and Dan. So she's going to be working on some horticulture and local foods projects, some small farms projects, and then some livestock and crops projects as well. So we're really excited for her to start tomorrow. She's an outstanding young lady, and we're hoping that you will all have the opportunity to meet her as well. So something for you to look forward to in the coming months. And also, of course, summer being right around the corner, just in the middle of planning a lot of things. Tentatively, you can pencil in July 19th for the Morrison County Dairy Field Day. That's going to be hosted by the Holtz family right near Little Falls here. So Benny so graciously accepted my request when I asked if he wanted to host, and he said he was flattered to
What's
be
the date
asked.
on that?
July 19th.
July 19th.
Yep, and it will most likely start sometime in the late morning. We usually start between 10 and 11 on that. So I'm going to be meeting with Benny this week yet to nail down all those details. So I just don't have them yet. And as soon as I do, I will get them all to you.
Is that over by Little Falls, or is that by Sobieski?
Little Falls. So the
on
beef
10?
operation is by Sobieski. Yep. So the dairy.
Okay.
Yep, the one on 10.
Okay.
On Sanderson.
On Sanderson.
On the Sanderson.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Remember, I'm not a local, so I don't know all the
Well, now-
history of
now
all
you know.
four sites. Yeah. No, I know.
Don't worry.
Old Sanderson
I'm not
farm.
positive about the Sanderson farm either, so.
Okay,
we're all gonna
we'll leave it to
learn.
them.
We'll find it.
That's in
Good.
the area.
Probably is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
So,
think so.
other summer things coming down the pike. So I mentioned our intern Haley is going to be working on some small farms things, and so we're hoping kind of between her, Beth, and I to do a joint small farms, local foods type field day or tour that would kind of cover some small scale livestock as well as some small scale fruit and vegetable as well. So we're hoping to find a tour site or some tour sites to do that. I do once again plan to do a beef tour or field day that's usually held a little later in the summer. Still asking around, looking for a host for that, but I'm confident that we'll find someone. So I have a very good cooperator in the Mississippi Valley Cattlemen's Association. They're always willing to help out. And every year, one of their members is usually the host. So I'm sure we'll find someone there to help for that. And yeah, those are the big things I've been working on is program planning and visiting farms. So I've been getting a lot of questions lately about pasture rent. So we have a lot of, I think, landlords that have land that's just sitting, and as they're being more mindful about conservation and soil health and realizing how good it is to have some livestock grazing their land to manage it. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. So I am looking on doing some radio clips and maybe an article about that as well, just to encourage it and remind people of the benefits of grazing livestock.
So what do we have for 5 head of cattle on a pasture? Is there a figure out there to tell me what pasture rent is?
Yeah, so.
A generalization?
Yeah, so we use state averages as far as cost goes, and you can charge pasture rent in 2 different ways, either per acre or per animal unit, or per cow unit, I should
Yep.
say, because most of it's for beef.
Yep.
So the state average for the acre charge is $35 an acre. And then if you're more interested in charging per cow unit, which is what I usually recommend, just because then you get a little more control over the stocking density on the amount of land that you're renting out, and that's $12 to $15 per cow unit per month. And a cow unit is a 1,000 pound beef cow.
Okay, very good. Thank you, very kindly.
Yeah, so when I just got a call this morning about somebody who planted some rye last fall and they're wanting to graze their cattle on it. So grazing has been a really big topic so far this spring. So we'll see what else comes through my phone and through my email. So that's, I think, all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? If not, thank you
You
very
have
much.
a busy schedule here, I see that.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we're just trying to keep moving and getting it all done, so.
Good job.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Emily.
commissioners.
Yeah, but I didn't know if that second note, if that's good or bad, or who it goes to, or...
I haven't seen it first, I'll look into it. I have no idea what it is.
All
Steve is
right.
here for it.
Should we do you want to do administration report or not?
Well,
really?
Steve could do the auditor.
Steve's here.
Oh,
Steve's
Steve.
the-
Okay,
Steve's the
I'm sorry.
auditor. He's a little, not quite as good looking, but whatever.
I'm sorry.
You got promoted.
Thank
He's
you,
a
Steve.
nice guy. I mean, come on.
Steve, I apologize for my coworkers, you know.
Thank you.
Abuse they give you. Yes.
I've heard it before. I can handle it.
Well, I'm on board with it.
All right, well, I guess the first item, there was renewals of precious metal licensing in the county for Melgram's, Like New, Gun and Pawn, and Goldsmith Jewelers.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Wincher, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? None, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I'm glad you didn't ask a question about what they get for that, because I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. I know what a precious metal is, I'm just not sure what they, buying and selling, I guess, is what they do, so.
Gold,
And the next item is the warrants.
I would so move on the warrants,
We
Mr.
have a
Chair.
motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Lemire. Is there any further discussion? Yep. Roll call. Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Commissioner Wincher.
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
And aye.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you very kindly.
We got the warrant, Public Works Report. Because you didn't even get time to sit down, did you?
Was on a run.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning, everyone.
Remember, I got
Thank you for
something
coming
else.
over. We are working on trying to figure out how to make the times more accurate. It's easier said than done, because we were guessing too low before, and then all of a sudden, too much.
Just
and
takes
we're
longer.
trying. Yeah, we're trying.
Upturn the apple cart.
I like this way better than sitting here for a couple hours.
Oh. Well, you may.
He doesn't like us.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how to
He's a
read into
busy man, his
that.
time is valuable.
I'm here the whole time.
Mr.
Anyway.
Chairman, members of the board, I have two items for your consideration today. The first being on May 4th, that we accepted proposals from 5 contractors for the construction of 3 different projects, one being the resurfacing of our 43, a joint project that we have with Belpre Township for the removal of a bridge and the realignment of a township road to accomplish that. And then the major portion of the contract being our County State Aid Highway 45, which will include replacement of driveway pipes, shoulder widening, improvement of slopes, those type of safety measures from 47 to the Crow Wing County line. The low bid for this project came in at $2,572,948.56 to Knife River, and we would recommend that the board authorize and award this contract to them.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by Commissioner Wincher. Is there any further discussion?
I have one item, Mr. Chair, that I would like to ask. The rebuilding of this road is going to go from County Road 47, if you will, on 45 to the county line to the north. And if my understanding is correct, is that next year, God willing, and everything is correct, we're going to go from County Road 47 on 45 to Highway 27 and rebuild that portion of that road. Obviously, not for $2,500,000, or maybe it's more, or maybe it will be less, but that will be an entire new bid.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you, that's all I wanted to know.
Any further discussion? If not, this is a roll call. Commissioner Wincher?
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Aye. And Commissioner Lemire?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, included in your packet was a a master partnership contract with MnDOT that the department has utilized, and we've had in place for many years. It allows us, through work orders, to utilize the Department of Transportation for activities that benefit us. And in the same fashion, we have modeled our relationship with the townships and cities within our county in the same way. We enter into a master agreement with them, and then as they may require work from us, we just enter into work orders and help them conduct their business. Every 10 years, MnDOT reevaluates and updates these agreements, and that's what we're doing here today, is asking that the board would adopt the agreement that is similar to what we've had in place. We utilize MnDOT for inspection on our box culverts. They have inspectors at the plants where those are produced, and they are inspecting their work on a continuous basis. When we have a project, under this agreement, then they'll do the inspection so that we don't have to come up with some other method to do that. We've used them for soil borings on our road projects, a number of different things. And we've helped them too when the turnback on 76 was taking place. We entered into work orders and we provided the maintenance of 76 for them while the turnback was being accomplished. So it's gone both ways for us. Our request is that the board would, and this has been reviewed by Brian, and so our request is that the board would adopt and authorize the chairman and the administrator to enter into this agreement.
So moved.
You have a motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Lemire. Any further discussion?
One quick question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Steve, no doubt you and/or your staff have reviewed any changes that are in here. I don't care about the legal part. I mean, I do care about it, but legal has looked at it. You're good with it,
Yes.
is the biggest thing.
Yes. Okay. It is what we are looking for, what we would utilize. It's not much different than what we had in place.
Very good.
Steve, does this here kind of relate to when we cleaned out a ditch like on the county road, but then the state road was right there, so we did that too? Or vice versa, they did is that what we're talking about here too? We had where you don't have to bring in both crews to do a little area? Or not?
Well, that one might have been a little bit. I mean, they did go around the corner there to tie it in at the time. This is typically more of an organized type activities where MnDOT had some shoulder that was about a couple miles of it that was very low. It was a safety issue and they weren't going to be able to get to it. We entered into a work order and we were able to do it with some other work that we had going on in the area. So that's kind of what happens with that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve.
Let me see here. I lost my paper. Okay,
not
we got
supposed to say
Public
my
Works Administrative.
But it does say your
I know
name.
it
It
does.
says you're the presenter.
It does because she does the work.
Administrator's report.
All right, Mr. Chair, I have a couple of action items and a couple of different updates. The first action item is regarding the AFSCME, the bargaining units with Social Services and Public Works. As you are aware, we have an existing contract agreement with AFSCME. It was 2016 through, 15, 16, and, 16, 17, and 18 existing right now. And 16 obviously has come and gone, and in that year, we did a market study with our organization, which is common in public employment, just to make sure we're competitive with our wages. And while we are we aren't extremely far off, there was some work we could do with that. I think we all know where the market is in terms of employment. There are many jobs available. There will continue to be many jobs available, and so we wanted to make sure we weren't getting too far behind, because I think we all understand the value of those that work here and make sure that we need to have high-quality folks that are interested in being employed and serving the residents of Morrison County. And so a reasonable approach was taken. The board considered looking at the contract, and we did come to an agreement to make the market adjustments in 17 and 18, and then added a third year for 20 2019 with a 3% cost of living negotiated. We had to work out a few things. There were some law changes, as you know, with child protection areas, so we were able to hammer out language with that in the social services contract. But for the most part, those are the focus items, and I'd ask for approval, and we have a tentative agreement of that.
Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
We got a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
members of the board, I'll be abstaining from this vote because my wife works for social services and it can be seen as a benefit to me.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? We've talked about this at planning and,
Mr. Chair, this is a contract. This
Yeah.
is a union contract. This is the way it works. Life goes on. If we don't want to have employees, we don't do this. This is how the system works. We don't have, there's not a whole lot of choices here, to be honest with you. It's what it is.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, Deb, the AFSME or whatever is locked in now till 2019.
Yep,
So
through
they cannot
2019.
come back and say, we want to renegotiate or anything like that.
No, on an annual basis, we look at insurance, we look at what's going on with that, but no, this would be the wage settlement for 3 years. And one thing we had talked about in developing strategies is to be able to have that longer-term contract really helps. It helps management. I spend a lot of time when contracts are open, and those that run those areas. It just is nice to have things settled. We all know we have a lot coming up in the next 3 years through 2019. This building, this whole organization is going to look a lot different, and we all got a lot of work to do. So the fact that this is settled and taken care of for those 3 years is very advantageous. I think it's very fair. I think it's a reasonable wage settlement given the economy and where we're at and given what our comparables are at. So I think it's a reasonable approach.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I have a contract for Contegrity. As you know, we are working on the facility project, the building project, and as the ceiling was dripping for the third time in the last year and a half in this very room, I'm glad we're doing that. It's time. I know that's just one small example, but there are many more that can be added to that. We have entered into the agreement with our architect, Vetter Johnson and Company Associates, something along those lines. But Contegrity is the contract manager, the general contract manager for us. Pete had apologized. It was a little bit longer to get this already than what he anticipated, but we have it now. Brian has reviewed it. I sent it to John Erdrich and Steve Messerschmidt also. All of us took a look at it and recommend approval.
I'd make a motion for more discussion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Wincher, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Lemire. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just by looking at the contract, where now I lost myself, the contingency construction, that again would be like for any change orders, I'm assuming if they ever run into a wall that maybe they didn't think about, so that's where that money would come down. And then a two-parter, so again, our base project was, I lost it again, it was 12 million something,
746,
Yeah, so
285.
then that's the maximum it would be, could be used under this bond. If it goes over that, we gotta start looking elsewhere.
Yep, and actually that 12.7 is part of that. There's a few $100,000, I don't have the exact number, that's used, that you pay for that issuing of that bond. And so we've got less than the 12.7 to work with for the project. The contingency right now is higher. As we hone those plans, it goes down. There's still a contingency built into a project. It's responsible due to the fact that remodeling, you don't always know what you run into. So yes, they work with us on that. I enjoy and I appreciate working with Contegrity because they are here, they are taxpayers of Morrison County also. We definitely have folks working with us that care about the end result because they're going to be in the same community that they're working in. So I'm very comfortable with that and I appreciate what they bring to the table.
And then my biggest concern is you have on there asbestos allowance. If they find asbestos in this building, they start removing it, what's gonna happen to the employees? Are they gonna have to leave while they remove that, do we know, or?
Well, that would all be taken care of by the professionals that.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but if you're removing asbestos in this building or this area, you can't have people, I don't know.
Well,
how that-
I don't know what
I
those.
think they normally plastic them up.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean, so you can't get the air.
They,
Yeah,
they
we're-
know
yeah,
what
they'll
they
get
need
out.
to do to keep
Right.
people safe. At no time would we not have specific parameters put in
They
place
have
to keep people
professionals that deal
safe.
on
Well, no, I understand that, but again, you always hear the nightmares about asbestos removal.
Yes, and the assumption and the guarantee that we're going to look for is that that's the case. I guess I assume that they're going to take every precaution necessary and appropriate to do that work.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, and as you know, every day for the next few years, we're working on this whole project. We're working on specifics, making decisions about what needs to happen, getting feedback and input on what we are doing. And so it'll be more to come and lots to work with on this. Anything else? Any other updates or any other information that you're looking for that you need from me? I'm trying to think what other things that might be happening. I continue to work as far as contracts go. We just approved those AFSCME contract extensions, but I am working with LELS, Law Enforcement Labor Services, who now represent a group in correction, or the jail, a group in dispatch and our deputies. LELS has had many staff transitions, so the ability to actually sit down and meet these people has been difficult because they continue to have some transitions, and then our staff has transitioned a bit in terms of the desire to work with LELS and the negotiating committee. And so we're trying to get that taken care of because we don't have a settled 2017 contract, and that's always nice just to get that done. We have very established patterns, so I'm not worried that we won't come to an agreement within the parameters you have previously outlined. And so that's hopefully coming soon. Also, we have an insurance committee meeting scheduled for next week. We did get our renewal for 2018. As you are well aware, we work with all of the groups to take a look at what we're doing with insurance, to take a look at what options we may want to consider in order to move forward. Insurance is something that is, in my opinion, an employer and an employee effort. We have to work together on insurance because it is just so vital that we understand as a group what happens. It's employees, all of us drive the cost of the insurance, and the employer needing to help support employees with that. And so if we don't work together, it becomes very, very difficult, and our employees have done so. So we'll continue to work with that. Next Wednesday, we're meeting. If anybody wants to sit in on that and participate, you are more than welcome to do so. And I think that's it. Anybody have anything else for me?
What time about is that, just for the sake of
Well, I
argument,
don't even
you
need
know?
to tell you about. I can tell you
can tell
that
me
it is
exactly.
going to be
Morning
on
or
the
afternoon.
31st at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m.
Hey.
down in meeting
See,
room
I
1.
can't make it,
Okay.
but that's fine, I just
And
can't.
we will, meeting room 3, meeting room something downstairs.
Okay.
Somewhere down there. But yes, we will, Yvonne from Gallagher will come and we'll do a presentation. We do have a rate increase projected for next year at the cap. We were very lucky last year that we did not. We had a rate reduction, and so that's insurance. It ebbs and flows. Our utilization has been high. That'd be it on that one.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes. Would you like me to be done?
I would like to be done.
Oh, you
Your
can
time is up.
continue it.
All right.
Your time is up. Okay,
One last thing, Mr. Tyler is sitting there, I see Mr. West is retiring.
Yep.
our calendars, upcoming events, where are we looking from?
Looks like May 28th through June 10th.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to go through yours?
Okay, on the 30th, Tuesday the 30th, we've got planning here at 8:30. Thursday, June 1st, I've got a South Country Health Alliance meeting in Owatonna at 9 a.m. On the 2nd, we have landfill, TSWAC meeting at landfill at 8:30. We have board on the 6th, and there's Board of Adjustments on the 6th also at 7 at night. That is all I have.
The only thing I'll add to that is Little Falls Township sent us an invitation
That's right,
on the 5th of,
5:30.
at 5:30. So otherwise, he's covered all mine. Commissioner Lemire?
On the 30th, Morrison County HRA, 7:30. And did you say the Lake Association? The
No.
Lake Association District.
Is that Fish Trap Lake?
Lake Association.
On the
meeting
10th.
Saturday, the 10th at 9 a.m. That's all I got.
Okay.
I got pretty much everything, other than I'm sure Mr. Johnson, they have breakfast on the farm on the 10th at what, Craig Reyes? Is his-
Oh,
Yeah.
is
And
that
that's-
the 10th?
Yeah.
Where is that gonna be held?
Craig,
Rarick, in the city of Uppsala.
Yeah. And it
Okay.
starts at 7:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And otherwise, you got me covered.
My turn?
Yep.
On the 30th, or we did that, on the 31st, 10 o'clock in the morning, I've got an EMS Joint Powers Board meeting, City of St. Cloud, Wake Park at the Stearns County Extension Building. On the 1st of June, I've got an Armor Legislative Conference call, that's at my house. 6:30, can't make that. Board of Adjustments. On the 8th of June at 5:30, I've got a Trails meeting. That meeting is held at the Fort Steakhouse. And on the 9th, there's an Armor meeting at 10 o'clock, a RAC meeting in Traverse County. That's all that I have.
Only question, typically where they hold the Little Falls Township?
At
It's
the
at
town
the
hall.
Little Falls Town Hall.
Town hall. That's it.
Okay, then if there's no other business, could I get a
So
meeting to
moved.
adjourn?
Second.
Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Winchell. All in favor, signify by
Aye.
saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys.